Welcome back, dweebs. We've got a special episode for you. Kev here, Noah there. We are talking about weapons tonight, part one in our weapons series. We may have another special guest coming on very soon to discuss this with us, but this one, Noah, we're going to talk about because we have covered this director before as an indie digs. He is now a graduate, no longer an indie horror director. Zach Kreger, who I've been calling Krieger for the last 2 years, mainly because of my love of Archer. That's who I blame for it. But Zach, not Krieger, of Whitest Kids You Know fame. And as we were introduced to him, the Barbarian.
Yes.
My first time watching this, Noah's second time watching it. So I'm going to let you lead off, sir, our spoiler-free section. First of all, welcome. Thanks for coming back. And
thank you.
What are your thoughts on this for anybody who may be undecided as to whether or not they want to hit it in theaters?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing about this movie is the mystery, the big, what's happening. That's the big pitch to it. And, it's got a lot of attention with that and the whole way that they do run out the house, and at night, and what's the meaning of the time, the 2:17, that's, so there's a lot of things going. It's really a movie built on the premise, it's like why you would want to go to the theater and spend money or what have you to check it out. I don't know. It's I've learned a lot seeing it a second time. Some things I don't like as much at all. So I don't know.
It'll be interesting to go through everything. Before we get into any of the spoilers, I would say I think this is worth the ticket. We saw it during a matinee, so I did get to save a little bit of change there. But I did not feel at all like I wasted my time. I may have been a victim of the hype on this one. It got so overhyped that maybe all it could do was fall short of the hype that had been laid out before it. But overall, I enjoyed this movie, and I think it was I'm glad that it was made. I think especially in the horror genre, to see something, a very original concept that of course is probably going to be franchised to death real soon, but we can enjoy it for now. But I think if you haven't watched it and you don't want to stick around for the spoilers, I would say definitely go watch it if you can catch it early in the day or get a little discount day. Even better for you. But even if I had paid full price, I wouldn't have walked away thinking, oh, I got gypped here. But I do think social media went a little crazy with this one. I think it was good, right? My takeaway, Noah, for that part was that it was good, but not like the greatest horror movie I've ever seen. What are your thoughts, generally speaking? Did you like it?
It wasn't really it's like it's hard to even classify it as horror. It's almost like a mystery thriller to me. I don't think it's like a full on horror. I don't know. Horror is like a big potato. It can be a lot of things. It's peel back the onion or whatever. But I feel like it's more of like a mystery. It's almost like a Twilight Zone, to me, like the premise.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's set up.
Yeah, agreed. And it's got like the dark comedy elements too. Like there are a lot of intentionally funny moments.
Yeah.
I think the majority of the shared audience reactions in our theater were the comedy moments. Like people laughed in unison more than outside of jump scares, which get us all just because it's, hey, the room is dark and here's a loud noise.
Dark.
And we'll talk about some of those elements as we get into it. But generally speaking, I'm very happy about this. I think that it's only to our benefit to have somebody like this. We really liked Barbarian. I still really enjoyed this movie. I just kind of wish Twitter didn't exist and I didn't have everyone for the last 2 weeks tell me it was the greatest thing ever made, so that I would come in with these elevated expectations and then sort of be brought down to earth a little bit. That'll be my experience of it, but I don't want that to taint any of the spoiler-free viewers who haven't watched it yet. I think it's worth watching. go check it out and let us know what you think. But I think in order for us to do this thing justice and set up our future conversations on the channel, we're going to have to get into spoiler territory.
Yes.
So final warning here. We will start with some light spoilers, but eventually we're going to spoil this whole darn thing. So leave a like on your way out and come see us after you've watched it if you don't want it to be ruined for you for good. So here we are. Full spoilers, weapons, my first take, Noah's second time watching. So I will let you start here, sir, because the first time you watched this, you let me know that you didn't catch it from the beginning. So now that you got to see it, what are your thoughts about the intro, the setup? How did the second viewing change things for you?
Well, I mean, so I missed like the first 10, 15 minutes of it. I came in when Justine, that's her name, I believe, she is, at her house, like leaving the school. And I didn't realize that, like, the narration by the little girl was so long in the opening. Like, so that's my first major complaint, because I didn't know that existed on my first view until the end. So when the little girl starts talking about like the epilogue style, I was like, oh, this is like that's weird. That's like, what the fuck is this? So it was like out of nowhere to me. I didn't understand it. I was like confused. You can imagine, like, if you don't hear the beginning, you're like, wait a second, there's this little kid, like, and that's what happened to the town. I'm like, what? Like, okay.
Well, of course. Generally speaking, the best way to start off on the wrong foot with me is to start with a child narrator. Not how I would start any project, but I did recognize the voice. It sounded a lot like the sister in The Black Phone, and so I acknowledged that. I was like, okay, so she's going to be in this story.
Yeah.
Definitely not. That was maybe the other part of it, like this disembodied narrator that is there at the beginning and is there at the end, but is not a character in the story whatsoever, and is not the narrator the entire time. So it was a weird, in my opinion, unnecessary layer, because on top of that, everything that gets narrated to you is shown. You get to see it. So not only is it a show don't tell thing, but it's like you were gonna show this to us, so just go ahead and show it to us. It was a very slow setup. There's a lot that we're gonna get into that I liked about this movie, but it took me a minute to get into it, and the narration for me wasn't the best startup, especially as, again, 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, you're still doling these pieces out that you spent the time to narrate to tell me. So you just show me, cut out the first 5 minutes of talking and just show it to me.
Yeah. I mean, they could have started like this whole thing in the class, like him alone. Like I said, like they could have started in any way. They could have shown, so like my friend told me, oh, you missed the intro. And he was like, the intro was so amazing. It was like slow-mo and then this cool song over the kids, like, and I thought it was like going to be this artistic, beautiful like montage of just the kids running out in slow-mo, and I was like, oh, that's poetic. I didn't think the fucking movie would start like this, let me tell you a little story about my town. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, so I was like kind of flipped. So that's like a weird, you know what I mean? Like So going into the movie the second time, I was like, okay, it's going to be like a little 30-second overlay of the narrator girl to coincide to do the full circle of the final thing that at the end. And then it's like a slow-mo with all the kids coming out, and then it just goes in the school. I'm like, oh, cool. But that's not how it was. It was like this little girl, this unseen narrator telling you what happened. Is why do you need that?
Yeah, and
it's not like it was unfilmable. Like they filmed it. They showed, like, they're showing you what's happening while this girl's telling you what's happening. Why?
That was the part. exactly. That got it for me. And we just talked about something similar in the last time you and I talked, Jimmy and Stiggs, where he had the note to self, like, I'm going to tape record my thoughts, and then we'll have him.
But that was cool because he was abducted and he couldn't remember shit.
I'll play it back to myself. And at that point, I said, even then, I didn't love it, but I'm going to give it a pass because it's a dude in an apartment. It's basically two characters the whole movie, so there's only so many ways you can get your exposition across. So get it. Don't love it, but fine. I'm not going to dock points for it. But this was one where I felt like, why did it need to be done this way? And I feel like we have started off immediately with the nitpicks or the negatives. I promise you, I have a lot of good things to say about this movie, but unfortunately, it took me about 42 minutes, Noah, to really get into it and get invested. Was the early pacing, outside of just that narration, was the pacing good for you the second time around when you got to watch it from the very beginning? Or did you feel like you kind of won the first time by showing up 15 minutes late, that you kind of just got to get to the point?
See, I was like a different situation too, because like I knew I was already semi-spoiled, I knew what was going to happen, or like what the big reveal of that person or the thing who was going to do it. So the whole time I was watching, I was like, well, how are they going to get to that? Who, you know what I mean? I already knew. And that's the problem with having social media. So lesson learned, I will avoid everything now. If I want to watch a mystery.
That's fair, too. I guess you had already had it spoiled. So even the first time you knew what was coming. That is a bummer.
So, but I will say, like, I feel like Justine's segment was it was elongated. It was, it felt like it needed to be a little shortened. I don't know, because in my opinion, I think this whole story is Alex and his family's. Like, she's the teacher, yes, and she's the red herring, or like everybody thinks she like did it. You're right, like she's the big witch, or people think, but it's like I felt like they spent too much time. I almost feel like now watching it a second time, I feel like it's almost like Jimmy and Stiggs was. It's like lazy of like, oh, she's an alcoholic. Like, it's just like, like, oh, well, I'm upset. It's like in a soap opera when a guy is like not clean cut anymore and grows a huge beard. Oh, they're fucked up, right? It's like the girl is like, oh, I'm going to drink now more because the whole town assumes I'm this big bad, which
I'm going to drive my car to the park and drink vodka out of a Circle K cup.
And it's like,
good branding.
First of all, she was like really creepy because she was like not even low key, high key stalking that kid in the house. Like, she was parked out that bitch. Like, she was parked out and getting fucked up. And it's like, go home, make yourself like some cracked macaroni and cheese or some shit. I don't know. I like, why would she pass out? She passed out, and that was like the end of her segment, correct? Like her passing out, and then the person, and then Alex's mom like coming in, which was cool how they like showed that. But it's like, man, that girl was so fucked up
that she slept through.
Like,
that.
She slept through that.
Yeah, So I'll start by saying I liked the chapters, and I liked starting with her, and I think I agree with you that maybe it could have just been a shorter chapter.
Yeah.
Especially because of the way it's done, where the different segments of each individual story overlap, so you get to see more of her later from other characters' perspectives and all that stuff. So, but yeah, there was the one time, I think for the most part, I try my best not to provide too much commentary when we're watching a movie, even though you had seen it already. I just, we paid money to be there. So, I know we'll talk about it after, but the one time I could not contain myself was after a certain point. I leaned in and whispered to you, is this the protagonist when it comes to Justine? Where I was like, am I supposed to be rooting for this character at some point? Because like you said, she stalks a child.
After being told not to, like, multiple times.
Explicitly told not to. Now, we do get some of that onion peeled back, and we get more context that makes it feel a little less creepy once we get Marcus's side of the story. You're like, okay, but like you can't make me forget the fact that she like waited for this kid as he was walking home and did all kinds of like really weird stuff to try to
Weird
talk
shit.
to a 9-year-old
Yeah.
about their shared trauma. And
Even Alex was pissed. Leave me alone. like stop coming here, dude. And I know Alex was like, "Oh God!" Like the whole big thing. I mean, we'll get to that later, but like he was put in such a conundrum, like that
Yeah.
kid. I mean, if they would have spent more time on that, that was like, oh shit. Like, you know what I mean? Can you imagine? How different would this movie be if you would have remixed the chapters and started out ballsy with Alex, just like, oh, just a normal kid starting out his day, and then we work our way back Memento style? That would have been weird. Like, can you imagine if you would have known the payoff immediately?
well, that's a good question
Yeah.
because one of the elements that I enjoyed the most about the film was the fact that it was unraveling the way that it was. So, you know, you have one perspective and you're like, okay, what's going on here? Then you get Josh Brolin's perspective and you also get some hints that he's a little crazy too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
each new character that you spend time with gives you more of the story. I don't think it paints Justine in a great
No.
light, especially once you get to Paul's story and you're like, God damn, bro.
I
this
know.
is brutal. But I
Yeah.
liked the way that everything unfolded. I think
Yeah.
if I were to have done anything differently, it would have been to trim some of that first segment and just having spent more time with Alex and his family towards the back end. But there is something to be said about that because that's the old Hitchcock rule, right? You want to build tension, tell the audience
What?
and then make the characters oblivious. And so then you're like, you know, quit talking about baseball, you idiots. There's a bomb under the table.
Yeah.
But
Like-
in this case, would that have ruined the mystery? I mean, it seems
Yeah,
like
that's true.
um,
Yeah. I mean, they did do it really well, like how they put it together. I mean, it was, other than I felt like Justine's segment, like it's too long. But like once I told you, I still stand by. I think like once the movie really gets going is when, you know, James, like when Paul and James, and then it kind of fractures off. You know what I mean? Because like them kind of lead to the house and, you know, actually getting somewhere. You know, because I feel, but then again, I feel like Justine's segment is meant to be long, obviously, because it makes you think that you're sitting in it so long that it's gonna like stay the whole movie with her perspective, because that's where you're like, oh, is this really the protagonist? Because I don't know if
Yeah.
you probably didn't know that there were chapters. You didn't know how it was gonna go, right? Or did
well,
you?
they give the game away by doing an intro and then having a black card that says Justine across it.
No, so you
that
know,
tells
yeah.
me like once you introduce one character that way, I'm expecting you to do it
I-
at least a few more
I
times.
wish they wouldn't have done that. That would have actually been cool if they wouldn't have shown her name. And then like they just jump over to somebody else like, oh, okay. This is how we're gonna do it. Because you're right, like them doing Justine, it's like gives it away that it's like because correct me if I'm wrong, but Reservoir Dogs, they didn't do that. They only showed the name after the first scene. Like they didn't drop into like, okay, it's about this guy. They did it later when Harvey Keitel was like Mr. Remember when he was like,
Yeah, I think you can accomplish it just by going further back in the timeline. So like you don't necessarily need to say, oh, this next section is from so and so's point of view, especially when you're doing what they did, which is to have different points in the story overlap. So you'll have Justine's story end at a certain confrontation, and then later you'll see that from character 2's perspective, and then later you'll see it from character 3's perspective. So you're going to have those overlaps anyway.
Yeah.
So that would trigger the audience as to what's going on. So yeah, you don't necessarily need to label it. I think you could have, for instance, just started at the same point in time, like the PTA meeting or
Yeah.
something. And then if you could refresh, so many of those perspectives start there. You could have done it from there. But for me, where I thought the movie should have started was with the teacher, Justine, walking into her empty class.
Yes,
And
I agree.
I hate to even say this, I might have even preferred just the news position, like a broadcast saying something. Like you just start with her walking in and the room is empty. But you could have just started really with some of the interrogation of those two.
Yeah.
I know some of that was purposely withheld because of the reveal of
Yeah.
who the villain was, and so they just had someone narrate the fact that the child and the teacher were interrogated thoroughly. But I think you could have accomplished the same thing
Like in quick
those
cuts,
interrogation scenes, exactly, as opposed to just telling me the story.
Yeah.
You could tell me the story based on the questions very quickly, right?
Yeah.
You want to explain to us, ma'am, how 17-year students all disappeared at the same time? We have Ring camera footage. We watched all these children run out at the same time. You're still accomplishing everything, but you're doing it within the framework. You're not starting me with this child narrator who's not a character in the film, by the way. Just some child narrator. I guess it's the idea that they're like it's like a folklore, right? Like it's just a child saying this. They don't tell you about this story, even though all the kids escaped, all the kids are alive.
Which the more I think about it, the more I think that's like really pretentious that they did it like that, because it's not. It's just there to be cool. The girl talking over it, because it is a lot of sizzle. It is a lot of sizzle, but it's like it's not needed. You can easily convey it visually, which is what you're already doing, like we talked about earlier. So like, really, what's the point of it?
Yeah, because that's what
other
I was
than
thinking.
To be cool.
I'm like, yeah, maybe sizzle's the wrong word, because it's not like it's just a narration, which is
because
the
like
least fun part about a movie like that. You can get that in a radio.
Because here,
broadcast.
I'll bring a good example here really quickly. What about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre? That was at the beginning, and it was succinct, it was short, and it was creepy, and it was like, oh shit, it didn't tell you everything. Can you imagine if you had John Larroquette just tell you everything that happened? They were taken and everything was happening, and then just kept going. And then they did this, and then they did that, and then the cleaver hit him. And it's like, watch the movie.
Especially when you're gonna show it, like the whole. I shouldn't say the whole second act, but the whole second chapter.
Yeah.
Archer's chapter is about a dad going through the evidence and looking at the Ring cameras and talking to the police. Like, again, you told us all of this.
You did.
Which was part of the mystery, and then you filled those blanks in anyway. So it really could have been, if they insisted on the narration, I agree with you, it could have been 30 seconds, a minute setup. But I think the whole thing would have played better just dropping us into the mystery. This teacher, maybe she has a couple of interactions on the way in. If they wanted to do the red herring thing with her, I think they could have put a little more work into that. I never at any point thought she was guilty of anything, and I think that, I don't know, maybe they wanted to do that, maybe they didn't, but I think if you're going to misdirect, like, put a little effort into the misdirection. And I think you just, like, one or two, because we know she was an alcoholic, we know she got fired from her last job for sleeping with another teacher, like, there's one or two hallway interactions that can set that up, and then she walks into an empty room, and then you get, you know, we see Alex in the early thing, but maybe you get a little bit more of the we're getting some Alex backstory, because maybe we get some dialogue between the two of them about how weird it is, or we get the interrogation. You can still do the Saw franchise thing that you did at the end and say, oh, actually, it was Aunt Gladys was in the interrogation the whole time.
If they really wanted to have guts, they could have Gladys get away with it and then open up a door, and there's Justine and be like, thanks for helping me. Fuck you, everybody.
Thanks for helping me get my boyfriend back.
Yeah.
That's what it was all for, folks. It was all a ruse.
Well,
but so I just think
the
pacing wasn't ideal early on, and it does eventually become a very fulfilling story, and I did enjoy the ride.
What was your favorite chapter or like section of the whole movie? Because there's a lot. It's very Magnolia-ish, which is Zach Crager's inspiration. One of the movies, it's Reservoir Dogs like.
Yeah, you can go not necessarily Memento, but it invokes some of that with the timeline jumbling and all of that.
So like what was like, what did you like the most of like the world? Because it was a kind of cool zone.
So I really got invested during the Paul chapter. So we see which I think is he after Archer? Is he after? So it goes
Yeah.
Justine, then Archer,
Archer.
then Paul, right?
Yep.
And so I think for me, it was
And
right
then
around like the
James.
40-minute mark, and then James. And by the time James is in, like, I'm fully on board, and I'm like, okay, we're here now.
And then it switches to Marcus, correct?
I'm having fun. Yes.
Okay.
I
Ye-
see.
I
I mean,
think
I don't
so.
know. I might be a little mixed because we switch to Marcus right after Marcus attacks them at the gas station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe did it go Paul and then Archer?
No, I think you're right. I think it was Archer first. I don't know.
Either way, so some of it might be jumbled, but
Yeah.
for me, when I really got invested was we got to see things from Paul's side of the story, because that just let me know the kind of game we were playing, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I can't really trust any one of these POV characters, because you have Justine, and yeah, she's got her issues, but when they're at the bar, he outright lies to her and says like, oh, me and Deborah, we're not a thing anymore, or Donna, whatever her name was.
Yeah, Donna.
And she was not aware of that. She was on a work trip, and he had just, when we spend that time with him, we can see by his body language and everything, like, oh, he wants to be out of this relationship.
Yeah, but like the father is like it's a part of the
He's dating
cops.
the boss's daughter, so he's already fucked himself. And so you get to see, okay, well, there's going to be some untrustworthy characters involved, and their POVs won't be telling me the truth. So that let me know, like, okay, there's going to be some layers to this, and I'm going to have some fun. And, yeah, once you see Marcus Naruto run into the gas station, I have to admit that my first reaction to that was to laugh. I laughed at it.
It wasn't really scary. I mean,
it was goofy, dude. It was, but
especially with his Mickey Mouse shirt on.
Yeah.
Which his couple had the Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse
position, right? Like, I get what they're doing, but
I don't know. The movie really began for me with the Paul James. I liked that connection because how they got to the house was really cool to me. I really loved that whole vibe. I really did. That's 2 thumbs up for me on that one. I don't know. But the way that the movie was told, I mean, at least kept your interest. Like you wanted to know what was going to go down. And then they kept teasing Gladys. Like they did the classic, like, Psycho style or Cloverfield, where they showed you bits and pieces of her until they introduced her. Because where were her first few, like, appearances? It was like
in Nightmares.
Yeah, it was in Nightmares. It was like the wall, and then the bed, and then in the forest.
The woods,
But that was her fucking with, because like he clearly they saw that they were asleep. So like she was invading. How would they have nightmares of her if she didn't have control over that? I thought there was some Freddy Krueger shit going on there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, how would they know? They never saw her before.
I think it was just, at least I decided to interpret it as, well, she's the one who cast these spells. Because at a certain point, that gets revealed that, okay, she's the one doing all of this. So I just kind of viewed it as, like, part of the trance. They were being haunted by her because they never got long enough of a glimpse to have any idea who it was. It was just adding to the fear. And part of that fear was one of the controlling mechanisms, right? Like they're in this little dream state.
I mean, she looked like a clown, especially in that close-up,
a lot like
in
the
bed.
Raggedy Ann doll, but like a demonic version of it.
Yeah. A side note: I saw behind-the-scenes photos, and Zach Krager had a shirt on that was her, but in a Wendy's old school logo,
Nice.
And it's Gladys. So it was pretty cool.
I'd
buy that.
I would buy that for.
I mean, Wendy's was made here.
Maybe 20. We'll see.
Maybe $20. So, okay, that's what I want. Getting, like, what is your opinion on Gladys? Because a lot of people have said she's like this horror icon, and I have a lot of thoughts about, but they're already thinking of ruining it because they want to prequel that ass.
They want a prequel, a Gladys-focused prequel? Is that what the rumor is?
Mm-hmm.
Well, forgive me, dweebs, for trotting on familiar ground here. I know you've heard this one from me before, but I think that is the opposite of what you should do with a good horror IP. I don't even want to call this a franchise because I think it should just be left alone. It was one good story. The franchise is Zach Krager, just like the franchise of Jordan Peele is Jordan Peele. No one cares that those movies aren't tied together. They're Jordan Peele movies. People like them.
Yeah.
And they don't need to be part of a shared universe.
You can't have Nope 2.
Yeah, like nobody needs John Carpenter's The Thing to be tied into the Halloween franchise. They're just like, you just love John Carpenter movies, all right?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's the wrong path because of another thing I've said 100 times on the program, which is the more you reveal about this, the more of the story you tell, the less scary all of it gets. So as a prequel, it doesn't make a ton of sense because the story's already been resolved.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You're going to take the Wicked approach and say Gladys wasn't that evil of a witch after all?
Unless she has a lot of sisters or like a whole like witch coven like kind of vibe where
it was Agatha all along. But
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
Gladys.
Yeah.
It was Gladys all along, and now she's an anti-hero. But oh wait, we forgot that she's totally evil in the main. I think the only
Gladys is misunderstood, man.
like the only
She's the hero of this whole thing.
purpose this thing could serve would be to introduce whoever taught this to Gladys, so that way you could then go back and do sequels and say, but wait, you thought Gladys was tough.
But
When
then
you get a load of me.
Edith. Edith.
Yes.
From like the year 1893.
Oh, Alex, you didn't know you had a great aunt that was still
Yeah,
alive.
but
too.
then but then
Your
it,
other
but then it
aunt
never
is-
ends because then but then it never ends because then you have like, well then who was the other one before that one, and then who like, you know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
keeps going.
It just goes forever, and then you have a cult like Halloween 6. I just
Yeah.
had as we were talking about that, I just had a realization that maybe they did sequel bait us, as one of the final lines of the child narrator mentions that Alex's parents never did recover, and that they were still
And he had to
in,
go somewhere else.
some asylum, and that he stayed with another aunt.
I heard she's nice.
I heard she's nice. What if she's also a Vavitch? You know, what
That
if
could be.
she's-
But okay, so you just brought a good point. Then what the fuck is again the point of this narrator? Because the narrator is saying specific things of like, I heard she's a nice aunt. Like what? Like if this is like a fabled story or like I don't get this. Like
Okay, I agree with you. First
Yeah.
and foremost, I want to say I agree
Yeah.
before I try to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Because here's how I've tried to reconcile this internally. I remember being a child on the school bus, or Boy Scout stuff. You hear the campfire stories and like people telling horror stories, and sometimes you end up hearing the same one twice, but it's slightly different because this kid's dad told it a different way and all of this. So I am telling myself that this is a kid from this town, like telling either a younger kid or the new kid in town on the school bus one of those creepy, scary stories that you do as some light childhood hazing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to scare you, I'm trying to fuck with you. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, there's no reason to do it.
it doesn't.
Again, it's not a character that exists in the movie.
That's what I'm so confused by,
The-
because again, does it really just, is it a thing just to be cool?
It rivals the Hateful Eight. The Hateful
Yeah,
Eight.
the Hateful
as
Eight, yeah.
far as in
Yeah, it just
regards
has a-
to the most
and
useless narration in all movie history, where he's like, and Bob enjoyed some Manzana Rojas. All right, chill the fuck out, Quentin. All right,
It's so,
we get it. You got the red apple cigarettes. Okay, those fucking red apple cigarettes. All right, they tie this whole universe together. Okay, people want the Vega Brothers movie. Fuck that. We're getting the red apple cigarettes
I
movie.
fucking love weapons. Are you kidding me?
Starring Michael Parks.
I feel like Zach Krager was influenced by me and Reservoir Dogs. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. I don't know.
Oh,
man.
Zach Krager? Fucking legit.
Fucking the new Hollywood it boy.
I already wrote a Batman movie on a bar napkin, and people want to pay him $8 million for it.
Henchman, are you kidding me?
He's gonna redo
It's gonna
Resident
be
Evil.
Henchman and Resident Evil are both gonna make $1 billion combined.
I hear he's taking James Gunn's job with his one.
He's
Batman.
gonna do Superman Soups 2 is what they're calling it.
I think that's a good segue into just revisiting a topic that I brought up at the beginning, which was this movie for me being a bit of a victim of the hype train. Mm-hmm. Because if I had been one of those folks that watched this early on, before the whole world started talking about it, I would probably be on the other side of the fence telling people that they should watch it because it is unique, and I appreciate the approach and how it was something different and all those things that we want. We genuinely want more of this in the film world. Like, this is a movie to be celebrated.
Weird creativity, weird structural situations, and weird, yes, the ending got really wild and like, okay, we're going to make it crazy and try to pay off fast. But there were parts where it was like, wow, this is pretty dark. Like the scene.
Literally.
Yeah, it was literally, you couldn't see. Hey, that's another quick question. Does anybody pay their motherfucking bills?
Jeez.
Like, didn't Alex have a damn flashlight on his phone if he had a phone? Nobody has a phone. Like, everybody wants to just creep around the fucking world here. Like, with no, like, own a flashlight,
That's where I was saying, it's a victim of the hype because everybody talked about how it's the greatest movie ever, and then I sit down and watch a movie that 70% of it, I can't fucking see anything. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, that's great. I'm so glad. Why'd you spend all this money on cameras if you weren't going to light anything? And I get it's a horror movie, but it's also, like, that's just a trick, It's
it is
just
a
sort
trick.
Of like
it's a kabuki. Jump out.
There are a lot of moments of we're just going to keep everything dark and then make a loud noise, or they'll look up and see somebody sitting on the couch, and you'll be like, "Oh my god!"
I mean,
wasn't that so scary? It's like, yeah, bro, you turned all the lights off, you played loud noise,
And to be honest,
I'm a human being.
And to be honest with you, like, one of the coolest, creepiest moments in the movie to me was when James went to when he was running into the forest and he thought he lost Paul, and then you see her like waving to him, and he's like, what? That's alienating and cool and fun. And then of course he stabs him with the thing. He thinks it's that crazy woman, and there's just I don't know, I do know that the world is starved for. We're living in this era where there are a lot of requels, prequels, reboots. How many Superman movies are they going to make? How many, you know what I mean? And it's like, so when Weapons comes out, and also we talked about it earlier, but when you have Barbarian, that was such a breath of fresh air. And I thought a lot about it, and I may personally like Barbarian more because I just watched it recently, and I think that's a fun movie. There's some problems with it, of course.
You either like it or you don't. Like, I think the direction turn in Barbarian, just people really appreciate that, or it completely turns them off.
And you know what's funny is Zach Krager really likes this vibe, but you said 42 minutes is when her segment ended, correct? Or around that time? Around that area, yeah. Well, that's around that. I watched, like I said, I watched it recently, and that whole first act of Barbarian ends around that time too. So it's like, but the difference between Barbarian and Weapons is that Barbarian had a genuinely like unsettling, that tense when it was between him and her, and it was like, what the hell's going on? It was well done, like very well done, and I wasn't really bored. There were a few times in the Justine thing where I was like, okay, like what's gonna happen here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there were moments where I was like, man, I know it's coming because so many people have told me, but like, it's really not getting anywhere yet. So it was certainly worth the wait, but I think there were maybe a couple of things that could have been done early on to tweak that. But
do you think it's like the reason people think this is so epic is because the camera angles, like they did a lot of cool, they loved the behind the back vibe. They love to do that following behind, like going in the liquor store, especially the ending where they followed the kids jumping out the windows. Yeah. They loved that vibe.
Yeah, I mean, some of it was probably the shock value of the way things ended with the kids running through glass and breaking through stuff.
Yeah.
And the only time you see the kids used as weapons, it's very cathartic to see the old hag get her comeuppance.
And
But yeah, I
But
think
what? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
one of the things. So the thing I appreciated the most about the filming of it was the attention to detail. So in the Justine scene, and if you're a fan of horror movies and you know that a mystery's been teased out early on, I don't know about you, but I'm always trained to pay a lot of attention to the background. So like we
Chop it
meet
down.
James right away, right? He
Yeah.
asked Justine for change twice.
Which,
You know, and you're like, why is that annoying dude here? That's very weird. That's very specific that we did that.
I
Okay.
liked that. Yeah.
And then as she's walking to her car, there's a pickup truck with its lights on. And then as soon as I saw Archer get out of bed and open his truck door, I was like, oh, he's going to be the dude that was parked
did it.
in the gas station. So they had all of those little layers and the attention to detail. When you had, you talk about the following shots, when you had after Justine banks Paul and you have her
The wife.
walking in, and like you just see this lady sprinting behind her, and you're like, "Well, is this lady a weapon or what?" And it was a great little.
It was a
throw
great
up of,
tease.
like, did you fucked Paul?
No,
or
a
whatever?
lot of
And I
people-
was like, "This is good, dude. You're cooking."
Yeah, a lot of people complain. That's one of the complaints is people are like, they didn't pay that wife story off. But I thought I mean, what do you want? Like, you saw that her dad was pissed and found out through her what happened, and his whole world was crashing down. You know, that's why he was so mad.
And he
was
decided to
losing
chase after the person that he wanted to blame for it.
it. Yeah,
Because
so,
if he hadn't gotten stabbed by that needle, maybe he doesn't respond to Justine's text, and maybe
he didn't want to have sex with another person.
Yeah, maybe he was high on
Yeah.
whatever. And that was just another interesting thing. I thought James was shown to be a meth head, but then he also has a bunch of needles. And
Yeah.
some of those are times where you wonder,
He-
you're like, thank God this director has never tried hard drugs, because they clearly don't understand that a meth addict is not injecting heroin.
No.
Those are
Not
completely different spectrums. So why does this dude have a fucking a shit ton of needles? What does he
especially-
have them for?
yeah,
Is he
especially
shooting up
not-
meth?
Yeah, especially not out in a fucking tent in the middle of in a like a forest. What? By the way, like this town, like where I know it's like a fictional like thing, but like man, it seemed like it was like a quaint small town, but it had this big forest area. It was weird to me, like the way that the town was laid out. I guess I don't know, but I don't know. I would say I'm trying to think of like okay like. The gun thing too, the 217, the gun in the clouds.
That was really weird.
Yeah,
What was
really
the point
weird.
of that in the dream?
Yeah, like what does that mean? Like that's another thing of like, did he just do it to do it? Did the writer did
Roll
that?
credits.
Yeah, like
It's a weapon. You
It's
see
a
it,
weapon, man.
217 weapon. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those little things about the witch don't make sense, right? If we're gonna call it out. Yeah, she's got them under a spell, so why would part of her spell be to dole out clues
yeah,
to the parents impacted? She did. The dad's not under any spell, so why is he
No.
having nightmares where he can understand what's going on? But also, why did she kidnap the 17 children? Every
Yeah.
other character that she takes control over, there's a point to it. Either they're getting too close to the truth, or it's the original family that she takes over.
she wants to like kill people that are like gonna ruin her.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
She's
she wanted to
covering her
take out
tracks, but, like,
Marcus. Oh, you didn't call them right?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're
there's
on
a
my
point,
tail.
yeah.
Yeah, and the parents are being kept alive so that she can have that home base and all this. But everybody else is being used for very specific purpose. So what was the purpose of the kids other than to draw a bunch of attention to yourself?
Yeah, they were just stationary.
She had them for a month.
Yeah, they were just stationary. They didn't do shit.
She didn't use them for anything,
And
right?
and you no, she didn't even have a like. One thing that I didn't like is she didn't even have a line. She did say, "Okay, your parents I thought would work, help me out here, but they haven't. So now we had to go Plan B or do another thing." And then she had a mission of okay, get stuff for the kids from the kids, and then we'll see and bring them. But then they abandoned that. They were like, okay, she didn't even have a line of like, well, these kids aren't working out for me. They were just there. So what was the goal?
They're just in the basement. Yeah, and I hate listening.
She didn't even mention one time like, oh, well, why didn't they egg timer that ass there? Why didn't she say, well, I just need one more week? What the fuck? Like, put something like an urgent, like, I just need them for one more week or one more day to do, because she did say, we're leaving, we're getting out of town. Okay, then what was the point of the kids other than just to be cool and mysterious? Because if you don't have the kids coming out, if you take that premise, see, this is why it's interesting to watch it again, the movie if you take that out and like, you don't have anything in this movie, that the movie lives and dies on those kids leaving the houses. Well, then explain how? Okay, she needs their power, their prana, like their vibe, their energy, their life source, the youth, right? How? Right. And then why? How is she? Because he even Alex asked like at one point, like, what are you doing? How's this? And she doesn't answer when she's putting all the stuff in. Then she spits in the jar, and then she just rings the bell, magic, whoop. And I have no problem when the shit goes, oh, it's just magic or it just happens. Cool. But like, give me your mission of why you think getting these 17 fucking kids is going to help you beat this cancer, whatever you had that's killing you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, not even one line of like, well, you know what? I really hope we're going to do a trial run on this, and if it doesn't work, then we're going to do something else. But she said nothing.
Yeah, and I think it would have been probably better to show than tell, but she just has them in her basement for a month.
Come to think of it, you're right. Yeah, because she didn't even...
And what's the point?
They showed the kids running in, and then they had that creepy smile of hers, were looking at Alex, and then after that, nothing. Just don't even show her.
We see a montage of him feeding them and stuff.
Yeah,
so like
but you never see her. The only time you see her with the fucking kids again is when she's hiding and then lunges out at Archer. That's it. So why wouldn't you even show Gladys like doing some tests? Wouldn't it have been creepier if you would have shown Gladys like doing tests on the kids or doing something with their blood, or to show like how creepy it was? Or did you have focus groups and people be like, you can't do that because their kids maybe can't fuck with them to that level? But it just seems like the more I think about it, that annoys me, because like, you have this such a cool thread. There was one interview where the guy was like, well, what's your thing for basements? Why put him in the basements? It's like, yeah, like, what? Well, it's because it's cool. Or it's like, I don't know. I guess I just... Like,
yeah, what there's was the point of having 20 kids in your house that you now have to cover for, and without, showing us something? It also, you mentioned an egg timer before.
Yeah.
I think that's the right egg timer right there.
That's the right egg timer to do.
I hate to advocate for this, but hey, we're doing a movie about kids being kidnapped, so maybe, as you said, we have her do some kind of test. Maybe the test fails. Like, again, God forbid, maybe one of the kids actually passes away, and so now we know that there's real stakes into it. And if you want to save the other 16, you better get going, because all we know is like, oh yeah, they're Muppets down in the basement.
It would have been so easy for them to have Gladys like do a thing of like, I'm going to try to take their youth or do this or do that. Okay, that's another thing. She said, I thought your parents would help me with this, but they're no help. What did you try to do? Like, they didn't show her what the whole goal of her being there obviously was to manipulate and use them to try to fix her problem, her physical ailment, her death coming. Because she was going, yes, the kids killing her and ripping her up and doing it Dawn of the Dead style, zombie style was cool, but she was going to die. They inherently pretty much put it like she was going to die. She was fucked. She was like, I'm in trouble. She didn't look like a badass. She was on her, like, remember, like, there was that one scene where she was like, Alex, like, she was hurting. She was going to be vanquished.
Yeah. It was set up, and just, I don't know if some of it got left in the cutting room floor, or
show me some desperation. You know, like show me like I gotta take. Do you know what I mean? Like the mother and father. Yes, they showed them like like droned out, like gone, like basically zombified vegetables, right? But like in no time during the 2 hours and 8 minutes did they show her trying to do anything to change the thing. And that could have been a cool little thing, because if they would have shown her doing something to the parents to try to extract youth or health from them, they'd be like, oh,
actually,
shit.
that's the way to do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
you should have killed
show
one of the
it.
parents. Not
Killed
one of the kids.
parents.
There
Kill
you
one
go.
of the parents.
Boom. There
Yeah,
it is.
kill
Yeah.
one of the parents, and then be like, okay, oh shit, now she has these kids, and she's gonna do these experiments
And
on
you know
them.
she's testing them. Yeah.
So,
and
but-
you're like, oh, well, that
but-
killed a full-grown adult. These kids are in real danger.
Yeah,
Boom.
but
there
all,
it is.
but all, yeah, exactly. But all they did was, it's not working out. Like a relationship, it ain't working out. Okay, tell me what I can do so I can fix it.
Well, again, I just took
You know?
that as an old lady manipulating a kid, where like that was a reason. I don't necessarily believe that she was using the parents in any kind of way
Oh, you
to
don't
try
think
to
so?
heal herself, because they were clearly used as drones, because her cover story needed to be that they were sick and she was there to take care of them and Alex. Otherwise, there's no reason for her to be there. So I don't think she
Really?
actually wanted. I think she was just
that's
lying to
intriguing.
the kid
Really?
to say, this is why I need you to go get that stuff. But it still was never explained why
Oh,
she
see.
needed a bunch of children as
No.
weapons.
See, I look at it totally different. This is where you and I are on totally different levels,
Yeah,
I
let's
guess.
go.
Like,
Yeah, hell
so,
yeah.
like, how I look at it is like she intentionally went there to fuck with the parents, because I think she even said a line, maybe I'll have to watch it again, but she said a line, something like, I thought that they'd be able to help, but they can't.
Well, yeah, she said
Yeah,
that.
so-
I'm just
yeah.
saying she was lying to a child.
So you think she was
That's
lying
what-
to
yeah.
Alex? But then, but the way that she did the kid thing, the idea was, it was almost like a haphazard makeshift plan B. It wasn't like that was her plan A of like, I'm coming to the house, because the parents said they were arguing about it. They were like, it's the first time in 15 years she didn't come to the wedding. She didn't do shit. So she's a weird oddball. But like, and then she said, the mom was like, yeah, but our mother said, to take care of. But so it's like, it seems like there was obviously Gladys going there she wasn't going there just to see Alex and hang out and be nice. She was going there with ill intent to do something.
Yeah.
But we never know, other than, I hope they can fix me. At least in like Child's Play, you knew that Chucky wanted to fucking get in Andy's body. You knew that he wanted to do that curse. Oh shit, I'm stuck in the good guy doll. Well, now I got to get the kid and do the voodoo to get out of this. But like with her, you don't know anything. You have no idea. You know that she wants to get better, but what is her goal? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is where, we agree there.
Yeah.
Because as I've said before, I don't need more of her backstory. I don't need
You gonna get
all
it, Kevin.
of that prequel stuff. But yeah, to have a better understanding of what her plan actually was and what the stakes actually were, because they seem to almost de-escalate. Like, you've got these kids that are missing. You think they might be dead, and you're like, who killed all these kids?
Yeah.
And then you have this stuff going on, and then it's like, oh, well, they're just being kept in a basement and their classmates feeding them Campbell soup all day. Like, definitely not a life you'd sign
Was
any
it
of your
double
family
noodle?
members up. But
It was double noodle.
it went from being them dead to like, oh, okay, well, they're in this basement, and I don't know. We'd like to get them out, but it just like, that's not as scary as the possibility of them being dead or being used for something. So yeah, I think it sort of, the more it unspooled, that part de-escalated, because we didn't know what she was doing with the kids. She just
Yeah.
had, like, everybody else had a very specific purpose. The cop got turned because he was on to her. That Marcus got turned because he was on to her. So
Yep.
she was doing things, but with the kids, like you said, she says, I'm going to use it to help me get better and I'll go away, but she doesn't go away. Nothing seems to change. And as far as we know from the story, like, weeks, if not a month, has passed. So like, there was a lot of time there.
It just seems like, come to think of it, it seems like a lot of work that Gladys had to do to keep up appearances.
It's
Like
a
she,
really dumb plan, isn't it?
what's that?
I said it's a really dumb plan, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Well,
It's not bad.
she had to like, if you think like she had to make up a bunch of shit. She was like, oh yeah, he had a stroke and that's why he can't do it. And then she had to like do all these meetings. Honestly, if you think about it, she wasn't really that much of a horror icon because she had to do all this dumb adult bullshit work to cover up the shit she made. Like, you know what I mean? Freddy Krueger didn't have to attend no meetings saying somebody had a stroke.
Yeah, the twig thing's pretty cool, but
The twig thing, twig's cool, man.
I like them twigs.
Yeah,
brother.
no, that the scene with Marcus and the husband, or his boy, I think they were married, but like when she came in there and just the headbutts and like taking the dude out and Marcus going nuts, that was cool. Like, can I have a bowl of water? Like, yeah, it was like, all right, I liked that.
That was good. Yeah, it reminded me of what's that movie they remade with McAvoy about the people on vacation and they get polited to death.
Oh,
They get taken advantage of. It was one of those moments where you're like, oh, okay, these social norms and this desire to not be rude is what's going to get you killed.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed that scene. And I think for those elements, to play devil's advocate, that's where when people say that she'll be an iconic character, I think it's probably in those moments. But yeah, it's sort of like Palpatine, dude. The more you break down, the more you think about it, you're like, this dude is either just overpowered as shit or kind of a lucky idiot. Either one, you don't love it. The more you think about it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are ready for it, but your kids are gonna love it. Yeah. But I would say this is a theoretical, hypothetical, whatever. What would have happened if she wouldn't have been brought in, because the Marcus did not want to allow her in, and then the guy was like, no, she can have some water and stuff, but like, I wonder what because she needed that bowl of water. She needed to be in there. She needed to do the whole game. If they would have just said no, I just like wonder about shit like that. Like, if they would have said no, like, what does she do? Because she needs to like get his hair, cut it. Like, if they would have just slammed the door, she's fucked, right? Like she had to like hope for kindness for them to invite her in, and she didn't even have a plan on that. She just rolled up on like a Saturday at like noon.
Right,
yeah. Like, I'm just going to come here.
Thank God they were home watching TV.
Yeah.
I didn't even
that would have been a funny ass scene if they would have had her like knock on the door and nobody was there and she waited for like 45 minutes. Like, this sucks. You know what I mean? I walked all here to do my gimmick and my lie about the bus, and
that's in the director's cut.
Yeah, that'd be my
Sitting
movie.
there patiently. Yeah, I mean that's
just my nerdy. Like, if I went really nerdy with it, like I just wish I want, and maybe it would be like if I can do it or something. I want a scene. I want to show like a villain having to wait like an adult and be frustrated, and because it's always like cool. Like I'm manipulating everything. And then they don't get their way at the end, and then the old switcheroo happens. Like, oh no, the kids. That's another thing. Can I go on a rant really quick?
Fire away.
Gladys, why was she doing all the shit? She should have been a little more secretive with Alex, because she was showing that kid exactly what to do to fuck with her in the future. That's why he knew how to do the shit, because she was doing all her cool like voodoo weird shit in front of him. And I understand it was to like, I'm showing you this to intimidate you and be like, see what I can do to your parents, and if you tell on me, you're gonna get this. But I feel like she could have handled that a little better. Like, at least don't show like, hey, don't look, or like at a like a school test, like, put her arm over it like the twig. Don't show exactly what you do, like, because like he knew how to like turn on her. Because she did everything.
Showed it to him.
She literally showed everything.
Well, but I mean that's that's a pretty
that's like
classic
a story
trope,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
That's the her hubris is what defeated her in the end, and that's what makes Alex be able to be the hero, because he's a smart little kid and he figures it out and applies it. So I don't know. I mean, you're not wrong, but at that point, how else is he going to win?
Yeah.
Got
like, can you imagine how different this movie would have been? Like, I did see that coming from a mile away, though. Like, oh, they're going to turn, these kids are just stationary. They're just going to turn on her and kill her. I had a feeling that she would be brutally murdered. Like, there's no way. I just had a feeling, but it would have been really cool for her to have gotten away with it. But now, maybe I just wanted like a darker ending. I felt like the ending was really convenient and it happened very quickly. You know, it was just like, well, these kids were just there. It was the classic switcheroo. Like, oh, again, we don't know why she needed all these kids. We never will, unless the prequel explains
Oh,
it.
the prequel's going to
The
explain
Gladys
it
is
all,
going to
brother.
explain all. It's going to be on her itinerary. The ending scene will be her like, oh, here's what I want to do to the parents. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to get a bunch of kids from his school.
Yeah, I'm not one that.
No.
So I never mind a sad or dark ending. It might mean, in the case of like a Requiem for a Dream, it might mean I'll never watch your movie again, but will always tip my cap and say, yeah, that was a good film. I don't ever want to sit in a dark room for 2 days again, though, so we're not going to watch it afterward. But I think for this one, I think it was a decent end. Like I enjoyed the ending. I thought it was cathartic.
It was
to
cathartic.
have that. It got real goofy at the end.
She sure did run well for a person who's fucked up, like on their knees, could barely move. Shit, I have kidney stones. I ain't moving. She was running faster than I ever would for a burrito with double meat.
It got really slapsticky there at the end with them running through everything and then ripping her apart.
She did. Did you know, like, behind the scenes or like interview I read, he wanted her basically just to be caught pretty quickly. But then, or no, they would like the script, and then he was like, "What wouldn't it be funny if like she just runs through all these houses, and what if we do it like that?" And they're like, "Yeah, I guess that's better." But see, that shows you that it's still another thing of like, wouldn't it be cool? It's cool, but like that kind of betrays the story because they made her out to be this weakened person that can barely walk near the end, but then all of a sudden she's scurrying like, oh God, oh no, like she has ants in her pants.
Yeah, I did think it was a little weird that a bunch of 9-year-olds could jump through plate glass and like break doors and like that. I was like, wait, so these kids have superpowers now?
Yeah.
Is that part of it?
And also, if you like jump through like multiple windows and different windows, I know some windows are safe, but I've seen it in my family. Like, wouldn't some of that be dangerous? Like those kids would have been hurt or like messed with. Like that would have been visually appealing to see like kids like with shards of stuff and like all like you know what I mean? Like get the kids like making it look all fucked up. Like, oh man, this is so grindhouse. Man, if Zach Krager wouldn't have been able to sell the script, it could have been on Eli Roth Presents or
That's
section.
what would have done it. Yeah, needed more.
You need more blood and crazy. It wasn't hardcore enough.
Not enough gore.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it would have been funny if like while she was being teared up, be like, I deserve this. I deserve it. Like, but I don't know. I mean, you know, we're definitely gonna get Gladys. We're gonna get the prequel for sure, and I'm sure you'll be excited.
I can't wait for a prequel.
Can't wait to weaken her aura much more.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't they do that with Misery too? They even did. I never watched it. They did a Misery like prequel with Yeah, they did a Kathy Bates Misery thing. It was it was like an anthology like series. Like it was on Hulu. And Lizzie, what's her name? Lizzie Kaplan played the young Kathy Bates. Yeah, dude. I guess we're gonna have to look into that. But like I'd never see it. But I like they had to do it with everything, man. Like they had to do it with everything. You know,
whatever the modern equivalent to VHS mess is, that'll have to be a DVD dive. I'll have to find that.
Absolutely. I mean, they're doing it with. If we want to rent it down, they're going to do it with. You know, they're doing the Friday the 13th series. If you didn't, they're doing a whole thing showing Jason as a kid at Camp Crystal. It's like, do we really need that shit? No. Like, why do I need? Yeah, I can't wait till the season finale where they show him in the in the lake drowning. Like what?
Yeah,
like
oh man.
Like why do we need that?
We don't need it, and I would argue who even wants it. So I can't wait to see the Gladys prequel. But any final thoughts on the movie Weapons itself? I know that we spent a lot of time talking about the dislikes.
Yes.
But again, to reiterate,
the strengths. Yes.
I did like this movie.
The strengths. Here are my top strengths of the movie. Okay. The first time I watched it, I was like under the spell, like the Bell spell. I loved the whole vibe. I was in the right mood for it. And again, I thought the intro was going to be this artistic slow-mo, them coming out of the houses. And then, like, I thought it was going to be the girl narrator saying, like, and then they all left the houses at the same time. And then, like, end it right there. And then we're, like, into, like, bitching about, like, you know, Justine and, like, oh, everybody thinks that she did it. I thought that that's how it was. When I watch it again, that had to be, like, 4 or 5 minutes. It was not short. Like, that girl was talking for a minute. It was not quick. That annoyed me, but the strings that I loved the soundtrack. I thought the cinematography, it put you in the world of it. It made you feel like you were a part of the world. I liked once they got to the middle with Paul and James and they started basically breathing life into the characters and the connections. I really dug that. I'm a big fan of like Magnolia, Reservoir Dogs, Lost, stuff that's like multi-tier and will go in different directions. Because I don't know, like it seems like there were some daring ideas here. Like a lot of people would have cut more of the movie, like made it like this movie looks a lot different if it's like an hour and 30 instead of 2 hours and 8 minutes, you know, because there were some times that like you could have cut some of, you know, James segment, you know, you could have cut some of the segments, you know, a little more, but I did like how it was dolled out to us. I think Gladys was a very intriguing character. I just wish on the second watch I yearned for knowing just how her goal was to get. See, we don't even know, like we didn't know how she was sick, right? We don't even know how she got sick. They didn't really expand upon that either. So that could be a thing. See, that's why it is prequel bait, because they could have made her sick by like maybe she was cursed or something else happened in a fight or something in her situations, her supernatural weird situations, but we don't know. We just don't know anything about her, but that's what makes her cool, but they're going to ruin it. They're going to like take it all out. And it's either going to be a 10 episode series or it's going to be a prequel movie. I could see it. I don't know. But soundtrack good, I love the soundtrack. Just like Jimmy and Sticks.
Yeah, it was like I said, overall enjoyed the movie. To get the rest of my thoughts, you'll have to tune in for part 2 of this review. I'll have another special guest, someone very bald and very beautiful, to join me, like and we will talk at length about more of Weapons. So please like and subscribe on the way out if you enjoyed your time here with us. Turn those notifications on so you never miss a review. Noah, anywhere else that the folks at home can find you before we say farewell?
No Noah forever, KNOW 4 EVA at Instagram. I do. Mary Steele last night told the audience, I saw her play, a cool person. She said I'm a multi-tier artist that does a lot of different things. So I don't know. So that's it. I do a lot of photography.
That's right.
Now reviewing movies more, getting back in the saddle of that, and just fun stuff. So yes.
That's right. And check me out on Dweeb as well as the Clout Route live show. And if you ever want to see me at work, go check out Carnage Media pay-per-view, where we got free fights every night. But most importantly, Dweebs, just don't go anywhere. Stay right here. We'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out with us.